Hi friends, David here from Learn Christmas Lighting, and yes, it's a little bit loud here because we have all three Dominar beams right here ready to compare to you. Some different moving heads, both inside and outside, show you what to expect from them, show you the differences between different moving heads, and talk a little bit about, does wattage even matter? And if there's anything that's not a secret here on this channel, the answer is, well, not really. So let's dive in. So first and foremost, we're in the middle of our launch for the Dominar X with special pre-sale pricing. You can really save a lot. Check it out below at our various retailers. This is the new Dominar X. Now, you're gonna see later in video here how it compares in brightness to the Dominar Beam IP. Meanwhile, it's a little bit lighter. It's, a hair brighter, just very similar in brightness, but it's a lot smaller. It's actually a good bit smaller than the Dominar Beam IP, while still maintaining the same quality standards that we have for the Dominar line. Then we have the Dominar Lempa. This is a typical beam in dome type fixture. This one has a 250 watt lamp in it because it's 2 years old. Now we put a 295 watt lamp in them, which is even brighter, as you'll see in the comparisons. So the first thing to look at here before we go outside and look at them on the real house, which is what we're all here for, is just the size comparison. The Dominar Beam IP from waist level here, which is about at the level of the table, comes up here, close to my neck. The X comes to the top of my chest, a good bit lower. And then, of course, the typical beam in dome Dominar Lempa with a dome is going to come up actually taller than the Dominar Beam IP. It's on a lower table because I ran out of space. But while we're inside, let's quickly look at the physical. Just look at how these things move, just to give you an idea. So I'm first just going to take the three of them and go to tilt and run an effect on them to oscillate the tilt back and forth, okay? So we're going to have a little speed here. Set it to go as far as it can. Okay, so we can see they all move smooth, they're all moving together, they're all getting the same commands. But now let's start to speed it up. So this is when you'll start to notice, okay, right here at this speed, maybe just a little bit faster. Now we'll back it off. So right at this speed, we can see, okay, our Dominar Lempa is able to almost make it, and this is going to be the same for the Dominar Lempa for most 230 watt, 250 watt type indoor beams in a dome, is that at this speed, this is about as fast as that fixture is going to go to be able to hit the start and end of its range, which, of course, once again, compared to a 380 watt beam, is actually more range pan and tilt wise. Then we have the Dominar Beam IP, okay, which is, our kind of old Dominar model per se. And what that is that one is not able to quite make it back and forth the full range at this speed. It doesn't quite make it there, so it can't quite move as fast as a typical beam and dome. It's very close, but not quite there. Then we have the Dominar X. Take a look at this. As it stops and ends, okay, it's keeping up just about perfectly, actually a little bit ahead of the Dominar Lempa, and it has just the slightest pause at the end. So compared to your typical 230, 250 watt beam fixtures, the Dominar X is actually a hair quicker at tilt, okay? Let's go ahead and look at pan. So we'll get them moving side to side here. Nice and fast. Let's see. So they have to go a full 540 degrees, so they're going to need to go a little bit slower than before. But we'll get it dialed in here. Okay, so here we've got them all essentially doing 0 to 100% on their movement speed. We'll notice that the X and the Lempa are about in time with each other. The Dominar Beam IP is just a little bit slower on the start and stop. Okay, it's a little bit of a larger unit, so it takes a little bit more to start and stop its movement. Now let's speed it up a little. As we can see, we get them really moving, and yes, our Dominar Lempa is just a little bit faster, the 230, 250 watt unit, just a hair faster than the Dominar X, but honestly, you know, in terms of sequencing and using it in a show, you know, you're not going to see, it's going to be a little bit different, but I don't think it's going to be vastly different. It's still very fast, still faster, way faster than those 380 watt beam units, etc. And so do keep that in mind. Now, let's go ahead, now that we've done the indoor comparison, kind of compared sizes, compared pan and tilt speed, let's go ahead and look at how these things actually perform next to each other with actual lights on our Christmas light display. All right, so now you're outside, you can probably see my laptop, and I've just taken all the heads and put them straight up, and want to show you kind of how that looks initially. I'm gonna put them in a position and just, ooh, I did not focus those well. Yeah, that's better. And just show you some of the differences between the different heads. So you can see here, if we look at this, basically what we have here is on the ground left, we have our Dominar Lempas, and I'm going to see if I can zoom out at all. Nope, I'm all the way zoomed out. So we've got our Dominar Lempas left, we've got our Dominar X's right, and then on the roof, the left two are Dominar X's, and the right two are the Dominar Beam eyepiece. This is the first thing we really want to look at. Is we're gonna pull up some programming in a minute, and I hope this audio is okay as cars drive by, but essentially between them, we're gonna see a couple differences. The first is that, yeah, to the eye, just reiterating so that in case you can't see it on camera, there's a couple things going on here. The first is, of course, we're running sequences. I'm running lights right now. I'm running my pixel show from Christmas. Most demonstrations you're gonna see from other vendors may not have any pixels in them. They may be at a really foggy time, and this is neither. This is a very normal night here in Nashville, Tennessee. It is February 1st, actually, 2024. And to the eye, the Dominar Lempas are just a little bit brighter, and these are, by the way, not like most other vendors. They're going to show you a brand new out-of-the-box fixture, but here, these are Dominar Lempas. These actually have a 250 watt unit in them on the left here, 250 watt bulb. Now we put a 295 in them, which is even brighter, and these ones have over 2 years of use on them. On the right, on the floor, and then on the left, on the roof, we have the Dominar X. Okay, and then on the right on the roof, we have the Dominar Beam eyepiece. All right, and so you can see the brightness between them. You can see how they're all just a little bit different. To the eye, the Dominar X looks a little bit brighter than the Dominar Beam eyepiece. Also, as we went over in the inside portion of this video, the bigger part is that they're smaller, they're lighter, and they're less expensive. But you know, it's good to compare them with some programming. And so I don't have my moving heads going with my show, but I'm just gonna play through some of my cues from the show this past year while the lights are going on the house, so you can get an idea of what's going on here. Okay, so I'm just gonna play through a song here. Perfect. This was Go Tell It on the Mountain, and he had them doing lots of stuff in that song. All right, I'm gonna stop that, and I'm actually gonna go to Deck the Halls because we've got a lot of movement in that song, I know, from my show. So here we have them all. This is a great cue because it shows them all going through their color wheel. We can see if we look on camera, which I'm gonna do here, you can compare the boldness of the colors with each other. Now, an important thing, a couple really, really important things as we're shooting this to remember about moving heads, and we'll go cover this in just a minute more. Ooh, there's a helicopter. Is that, you know, the angle and how close they are to pointing down towards you really, really matters, and it really affects how bright they look. The lower and kind of closer and more perpendicular to the people, the better it is. The kind of more straight up and pointed away from the people, the less bold they're gonna look, and that's true with any moving head. But the angle, the focus, the sharpness of the beam really matters a lot. We've had a lot of people ask throughout this process too. I'm just gonna go ahead and find some other cues. Here we've got one where they're all moving pretty fast. You can probably see the beams there where the Dominar X is able to move just a little bit closer than the Beam IP. We'll go over that in a minute, but they all move pretty quick. Some of the things to be aware of, and I'm actually gonna go ahead and just stop all the cues that are going, is let's talk about working with moving heads. Let's talk about movement speed, things like that. So across all of our fixtures here from Lauren Stage Lighting, they all move pretty quick. So for example, you know, if I just go ahead here and tilt them all down, oh, but some of them are the opposite way of the others. So we'll tilt them opposite ways of each other. Oop. We'll just tilt the house ones down right now. And then actually we'll do that. Perfect. So we'll tilt them all down. And then as you see, if we tilt them down, whoops, closer to each other, we really can see how it affects things to the eye and on camera. Essentially, the closer down they get here, those are the front ones, the more bold they're going to get to the eye and to the camera. Same with the back ones. The more they come down, the brighter they get. And so that's key to remember. Obviously, when there's no light behind them, they look a lot more vibrant as well. Okay, so bringing them back in, I know this isn't the most beautiful thing ever. Let's talk about movement speed a little. So when it comes to movement speed, all of our units move really quick compared to those 380 watt units that you might see. But just to give you an idea, you can see them all move really quick here. The Dominar Lempas and the Dominar X's are trying to keep up with each other. The beams are just a little bit slower, but they all move pretty good. If we do tilt, I'm not going to shine them into all my neighbors' faces, but tilt them down just a little here. You can see as they come down here. Okay, now we're blinding neighbors. You can see how they look more bold, more vibrant, how they move pretty quickly. When you're looking for a moving head and you're comparing different ones to look at, ultimately, our Dominar Beam IP versus our Dominar X are gonna be pretty much a one-to-one swap, where the Dominar Beam IP and the X are the same quality level. They're about the same brightness. I'm just looking at them with my eye here. I'm gonna come back and look at them on the camera. And, you know, when I compare them face to face, eye to eye, you know, they're really, really close. The Dominar X might be about 10% brighter. Ultimately, they're just a slightly less narrow, but they're a little bit punchier at close distances, but they're gonna come in at a lower cost. Both of them, in many situations, you're gonna be able to see them clearly in the air, but any lamp-based beam, including the Dominar Lempas that we have, which are 295 watt, are probably going to be a little brighter. That being said, you know, again, for anyone comparing things to other vendor videos, etc., just do remember that most of those other vendors are taking new out-of-the-box units, especially those 380 watts, and they're going to lose brightness quick. After a year or two, they're going to be about half as bright. All of these units here, the Dominar Beam IPs and the Dominar Lempas, have been out, the Beam IPs, for about 3 seasons, 3 years of work. The Dominar Lempas have over 2 years on them, plus trade shows and other testing. And the Dominar X's are new out of the box. And they're all gonna have the same brightness, which is what you get with a more quality fixture. So I hope you guys enjoyed this look at the Dominar X versus the Dominar Beam IP versus the Dominar Lempa. What do you think? Let us know below in the comments. And ultimately, let us know with your wallets, because the Dominar X is the new clear choice for Christmas light shows, where, you know, it's lighter, it's a little bit brighter, it's faster, and it's cheaper than any LED beam fixture on the market, and is just there to help keep you safe, give you a real warranty, and hopefully we're able to serve you and get you some Dominar X's. We'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.